Welcome back to the Club Call-In Show, brought to you by Sky Bet. If you want to get involved, check out the Discord link in the description. We're starting off with Kai, big Liverpool fan.
I'm Kai. If you don't know, I'm from Philadelphia. I was here, 3 weeks ago. So
Yeah, of course, we remember talking to you. Of course. How are you, mate?
I'm doing good. So This is kind of a follow-up to what I was talking about last time I was on. So Liverpool, a lot of the top level teams, they've definitely fallen off. But I think the quality of the mid-table teams is the best it's ever been. And I think teams are a lot more about squad management than having a very good starting 11.
Yeah, I think there's some truth in that, Kai. When we talk about the mid-table teams being particularly good this year, are they better than other years gone by?
I'd argue they
so.
would be. Yeah, I would. Yeah, definitely. Go on,
Or
mate.
is it because those top teams are worse, so they look better?
I think it's a combination of the ceiling dropping and the floor rising, which is why the league's really competitive. I think there are exceptions like that Portsmouth team, that Bolton team. But I think for the most part, I think definitely. I mean, you look at Villa, how well Forest have been able to rise, Fulham, even the teams that aren't that high up, like Wolves have players like Cunha.
Palace are a great side.
Although, do you know what, Kai? As much as what you're saying is true to a degree, how good are the mid-table sides? So the mid-table sides this year would be who? Sides like Villa, kind of mid-table, despite being in the Champions League latter stages. They'd be a mid-table side. How good are the mid-table sides? Or is it the fact that basically Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea, Tottenham have all not done what they're supposed to do?
I mean, Villa have Unai Emery won a European Cup, like he won the Europa League. Villa have players like Morgan Rogers, who's an England international, Ollie Watkins, Rashford, Asensio. I feel like that's incredible for a team like Villa. I mean, even Palace have a manager who won the Europa League, and Oliver Glasner. Like that wouldn't really happen in years gone by, I feel.
I think the level of coaching as well in a lot of these teams has risen a lot as well. Like we would never expect Bournemouth to be doing as well. They'd traditionally be a team that kind of come up and go back down, and they've got a manager like Iraola who's being linked with all these kind of top jobs.
But I don't think that the points tally is particularly impressive. I don't think that the points tally. So Crystal Palace are going to finish this season on what, about 50 points?
Yeah,
it's kind of par for the course, isn't it?
Yeah,
isn't it the fact that they look like they're doing so much better because they're far higher in the league. Like they're above Manchester United in the league. They're above Tottenham in the league. So they gain a couple of places. And also, if Tottenham and Manchester United had done what they would do, there would be the chasm between them. Manchester United and Tottenham should have 20 more points each.
I don't know. Let's say Bournemouth as an example.
They've punched above their weight.
Maybe
they've
they're a little
done
bit above.
very well. Yeah.
Let's say Fulham then. Fulham right now versus Portsmouth that you mentioned winning the FA Cup and obviously doing very well under Harry Redknapp. I think that Portsmouth side is better than the Fulham side, as an example. Like I think some of the side, like Danny Murphy's played for Fulham in midfield. You have Yakubu playing for Middlesbrough. Do you know what I mean? There are still some fantastic sides in the 2000s.
Danny Murphy was an excellent player,
and he was at Fulham.
Yeah,
and he was.
Yeah. He was an excellent player.
So I don't know.
And that was the Fulham team that ran deep in the Europa.
Yeah, my first thought was Blackburn under Mark Hughes, Morgan Gams, Pedersen, all these guys, fantastic players.
If you think about like let's try.
Blackburn
and,
won the league.
Do you know what,
well.
Kai? I've got a game to play with you here, right? Let's actually work out who is the very definition of the mid-table team that you think has elevated. And then you think about who that is. And lads, what we need to do is we need to think about a side to compare it with. So who finished 10th in what, 08? For a comparison.
That's a good shout. Kai, who's your pick?
Kai, who's your pick to use as a case study? And we'll compare the teams.
Well, let's do Bournemouth. I think that's a good example.
Although, yeah, Bournemouth, yeah, okay, Bournemouth 10th, yeah, perfect example to use. So Bournemouth, if we were to compare Bournemouth's team,
10th in 08 was West Ham on 49 points.
So they finished on 49
Man City
points.
were 9th.
They finished on 49 points, and so Bournemouth will accrue more points than 49. That's for sure.
That Man City side's a good shout because I obviously know it quite well. We're talking,
let's do Man City then.
Richard Dunn at the back. We're talking Alano in midfield, something like that. Giovanni on one side.
Yeah, who's a leading? Who's a goal scorer for that side? Can you remember?
Vassell was playing at that point. I think
Jesus, West Ham's team was pretty bad as well. I mean, they had some notable players like Freddie Ljungberg, Craig Bellamy.
No, but they were finished. Like
Carlton
Ljungberg was
Cole.
finished by the time we went.
That's another point I wanted to make. I feel like a lot of the good players these mid-table sides used to have were players at the end of their career. Like the first one that comes to mind is like Hero at Bolton. Like a lot of these players were just finished.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah. No, there was a time certainly where the Premier League became the Premier League was sort of the Saudi league.
But then remember that
you know
West
when
Ham
Ruud Gullit kind of finished in Serie A and came to the Premier League for a little bit of a payday.
Do you remember that West Ham team that went down and they were just
No,
stacked?
that was an amazing team though.
I know that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that was an amazing.
They went down,
but they
though.
went down with 42 points as well, which would never happen. Like,
So, like,
I don't
now
think the
they'd be,
bottom
like,
three this year are
6
going
or
to get
7.
four.
I think the coaching's better though, isn't it? I think Iriola's a better coach than Sam Allardyce.
I think the coaching's better, but the players
Yeah,
aren't.
who was it who took him down? It was Trevor Brooking, wasn't it? Trevor Brooking took him down.
Yeah, at the end, I can't remember. He wasn't a manager for the whole
No,
season.
it was
Glenn
Glenn Roeder.
Glenn
It was
Roeder.
Glenn Roeder, and then Trevor Brooking took him over. Yeah, and they ultimately went down, but they went down with a wonderful team.
That's what I mean. Like, so
Yeah.
that team now in the Premier League,
Yeah, could qualify for Europe.
yeah.
Like that team now.
So are the players worse now, but the coaching better?
Yeah, that's
is
what
it
it is.
both?
yeah,
The coaching now's better, more unified, more about possession, better kind of getting better gains out of people and sports science. But the individual players that some of these guys had in unbelievable.
What do you think? What do you think, Kai?
I was gonna say I struggle with the individual players argument because the league's very different now. I feel like it's back then it was a lot more direct and physical, but I feel like it's a lot more fast paced now. And a lot of we play so many games now, so I feel like squad management's really important too. Like a lot of those teams, they had pretty good first 11s, but afterwards, I mean, you look at some of those squads and
But it wasn't
kind of depressing.
like nowadays because of the sheer amount of football. Like teams are playing almost every 3 days. Like that stat came out recently where, I think United had played 60 games with like 3 days or less in between them. And back then there was a lot less game for these teams to kind of maneuver themselves through as well. So I think the amount of football now means you have to have bigger squads. And back then, like we talk about maybe some of the players are better at the bottom of the league now, but then Southampton had the likes of Letitia and there were still some absolute
I think
ballers
that's
down there.
true. I think there's some of the teams that are the gap between the Championship and the Premier League is still really massive. I
Yeah.
feel like that is a problem, but in the actual league, I don't know. I mean, it's there's a lot of teams like Brighton have like Mitoma, Estupinian, João Pedro, Baleva. I mean, Palace, if you look at form since 2025, have accrued the third most points in the league. I feel like and Chelsea have accrued like I think the 16th most.
I think
league,
the answer
so-
is there is no answer. I think there are great sides that are mid-table in the early 2000s, maybe slightly better coaches now, but you're always going to get outliers like Matt Letitia, aren't you? You're always going to get outliers like Di Canio at West Ham getting relegated. Like you're always going to get great players getting relegated. Big
What about
clubs like Man
Moyes'
United in the
Everton
bottom
team?
half.
That wasn't a particularly good team. That was a
That's some
well-drilled
great players,
team.
though.
It was a well-drilled team.
Peter
Arteta was good,
Cahill,
though.
It wasn't that good. Like
Arteta was a good player.
Leighton Baines.
Arteta wasn't really.
Arteta
that good.
wasn't
He was a
that
good
great.
player for them.
No.
That was not a very good.
Yes, he
Arteta
was.
no.
Yes,
He wasn't.
Well, he wasn't a world-class player. He was a very good player
Do
for
you know my overriding?
He's a better manager than he was
do-
a player, and even
Yeah,
he's a
and
shit
he's not
manager.
a particularly good manager. Yeah. Do you know my overriding memory of Mikel Arteta as a player? Captaining Arsenal to a 6-0 defeat at Stamford Bridge in Wenger's 1000th game. That's my That's what I think of him as a player.
And being that picture on FIFA when you delete club. Is it? And you know that picture on FIFA where he's holding his head in his hands?
No, because
That delete
Buvey's
club.
also an adult and therefore doesn't go to computer game references. Kai, an honour to speak to you again, sir. Thank you so much for getting in touch.
Yep, good to speak to y'all too.
Nice one, Kai.
Cheers,
Appreciate you,
Kai.
brother.
Good luck, mate. Enjoy Philly. Should we move on to our next caller now? Should we
Let's
speak
do
to somebody's taken your side in a debate that you had on the Saturday Social?
Yeah, we've got Gov Manchester United fan.
How you doing,
How's it
Gov?
going?
How you
I'm
doing,
all good,
mate?
I'm good. How you boys? You alright, yeah?
Yeah.
Firstly, big up Buvey, bruv.
Big
Because
up-
Buvey,
big
on the
up
weekend,
Buvey.
you made me proud. You made me proud, bro. 'Cause I thought you were going to say some madness like...
I make
Mara should
myself
be
proud,
there
bro.
all the time. But
We're proud
good,
of you.
Good, bro.
Cheers,
you should
lads.
do. You should do. You smashed it. You smashed it this weekend. But look, guys, I'm going to be
say
get
nothing,
straight to it. The Salah over Ronaldo debate for the all-time Premier 11, this debate shouldn't even be a debate.
Yep.
It needs to stop.
Yep. I
Yeah.
hear you.
Go on, carry
What
on.
is
Why?
going on?
Why?
Firstly, it's disrespectful to Ronaldo, man. Let's keep it real. It's disrespectful to the legacy Ronaldo's left behind in the Premier League. All I'm saying, Ronaldo at 24 was picking up Champions League trophies, Premier League medals, Player of the Year. Yeah. Salah at 24 years old was doing one touch with Micah Richards in Florentina. Let's be real. All right. There's levels to this.
The only thing I could say, look, I was with Neve and she put a very valid argument. I disagree on a footballing level. But she would say that 7 or 8 years of consistency, never dropping below 20 Premier League goals, bringing the first title Liverpool have ever had in the Premier League era, better goal-to-game ratio. That's the argument, that it's more of a consistent Premier League legacy, where Ronaldo was a little bit shorter, 3 Premier League titles in the 6 years. It's a little bit more short and intense. I'd still argue 3 Premier League titles is better than 1, no matter how long you stay in the Premier League. But that's her argument. I think it's valid.
Also, Salah's... I just don't think it's a debate. Even just forget stats, forget numbers. Obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo was a focal point in winning a 3-peat and 2 Champions League finals, Ballon d'Or, all that kind of stuff. But forget all of that, Just watch both players with your eyes, what they were doing. Cristiano Ronaldo was scoring better goals in terms of the catalogue of goals from 40 yards, from 6 yards, headers, volleys, penalties, free kicks. Just every kind of goal. Like his header in Rome was just phenomenal. Also, the feeling just watching them. Yeah. The only person that could deal with Ronaldo sometimes was Ashley Cole. Mo Salah got locked off by Lewis Hall at the weekend.
Yeah.
Like Livramento at the weekend. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's
on a technical level, that's what I really struggle with some of these debates, because you just say, what does Salah do better than Ronaldo? You could argue he's got a better left foot for obvious reasons. Ronaldo's got a better right foot. Yeah, but that's too obvious. He's better in the air, Ronaldo. Better with free kicks. He's a better finisher. He's got better pace. He's more physical. He's the best player in the history of football for a lot of people. Salah's not top 30.
Just for devil's advocate here, I know that Gov definitely agrees with you, and it's interesting that, like, I appreciate you bringing this to the debate, Gov. It's an interesting one, and Buvey obviously made his point really well on the show. But are we all ignoring consistency? Are we all ignoring? So, for example, and I'm playing devil's advocate here. This isn't even necessarily what I think. But when in the past, I've just heard Adam articulately make a case and put a case forward for Cristiano Ronaldo. In the past, Adam, people will be saying and shouting at their TVs when they watch this. They'll be going, everything that you've just said there, you don't necessarily apply to Ryan Giggs. So when you and I talk about Ryan Giggs, at how good he was, part of what we use to celebrate Giggs' brilliance, one of the many metrics that I can use to celebrate Giggs' brilliance, I go 20 years, which I know is a lot longer than Salah, but the point is longevity. The point is consistency.
He was 20 years a winner.
The point I'm making
Mo Salah
here
has
is...
been 8 years where sometimes he's won.
Mo Salah has been one of the best players in the league for a decade. Nearly a decade.
Correct.
You know what as well, lads? Sorry to interrupt, but also, lads, you want to bear in mind, in my opinion, the defenders of today aren't as good as the defenders back then.
Mate, do you know what? Papa don't preach. I am completely on board with this. I am completely and utterly on board with this. I think
and Rory, you know what? You might like this as well, Rory. In my opinion, Drogba should have more of a reason being in an all-time 11 than Salah.
Yep.
No, I'm not Drogba.
Bro, you just said it yourself. Salah's probably not top 30.
I'm not, because then we go Aguero. Then we go, does Erling Haaland get in? Why not Erling Haaland?
Nah.
He's won more Premier League titles than Salah. He's won more Premier League titles than Salah.
Was a big game player. Salah doesn't show up. All I'm saying, one guy in Ronaldo was carrying his team to Champions League finals. The other guy was at the halfway line with his hand on his cup.
Is there any truth in that? Is there any truth in that, what Gov just said there? Is there any truth in Mohamed Salah not being a big game player?
No, I think it's recency bias. I think because Mohamed Salah's in vogue a little bit at the moment, we just think recency bias, and he's one of the players at the moment. Trust me, in 20 years' time,
You're saying moment. It's been nearly a decade.
Where he's not even been clear the best player in the league, because I think De Bruyne's ahead of him. I think Hazard's had better seasons.
When we talk about other players, this is the point, and I'm only arguing it because I feel like people will be watching this segment and particularly taking issue with me and you, Adam, because me and you are the two that often argue with Buvey. Will go Scholes is better than X, Y, and Z. Salah's been winning.
Winning
one in
what?
8.
No, he's been winning silver.
Also, check this out. Cristiano Ronaldo in 07-08, right? Not only did he win the Premier League, he won the Champions League. And this is important here for this reason that I'm about to make. He was just consistent throughout the whole season. No one could mess with him. If it was a Champions League night, he turned up. If it was a Premier League day, he turned up. Mo Salah's not in the Champions League. Half of his season, there's no pressure on it now.
Ronaldo scored in the Champions League final. That matters.
So was Salah, but it was a penalty, but so was Salah.
Yeah, fine. Against Spurs.
And it was Spurs.
It's a different level. Chelsea in their prime versus Spurs with Pochettino.
Open play penalty is different as well.
If Cristiano Ronaldo played for Liverpool over the last couple of years,
would have been better.
The 07-08 Ronaldo, which I think personally, I know he scored more goals at Madrid, But I think that version of Ronaldo was the best version
blistering,
of Ronaldo, like what he was doing.
Yeah.
If Ronaldo played for Liverpool in last couple of years without Salah, they win more than the one league title they've already won.
Yeah,
Well,
I
that's
agree.
an interesting
I
angle.
agree.
That's an interesting angle. What do you think to that, Gov? Do you agree?
Yeah, pretty much. And do you know what else I wanted to mention as well? I seen Keno mention it. I saw a quote from Roy Keane, and he's talking about, look, Salah couldn't do what Ronaldo done in Ronaldo's second stint at United. And although it wasn't amazing from Ronaldo, he still bagged about, was it 15
No, he was
plus
wicked
goals in
that
a
He
season.
was 18, yeah.
He was wicked that
He was
season. I remember he
18.
scored a hat-trick against Tottenham, didn't he?
Mm.
Loads of goals in the
Yeah.
Champions League. Loads in the
Smashed
Champions League.
And it's like, can we really, really and truly, I can't see Salah carrying a bad Man United team the way Ronaldo
Look,
did
so
that season.
I don't think anybody at that age scores the goals Ronaldo did. I found it very weird.
one
that
against
it's-
You know
Tottenham
that
was
period
outrageous.
of time as well, 06 to 09? Cristiano Ronaldo was on a one-man mission to be the best player in the world.
yeah.
And he overtook Kaká, who was the current holder of the Ballon d'Or, to become the Ballon d'Or winner. And then he was fighting with Messi for it. Bro, Rodri's I know the Ballon d'Or
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
mean everything, but Rodri's the holder. Salah ain't been nowhere near
Yeah, it's
it.
a different era.
Salah's never won the Ballon d'Or.
Exactly.
No.
An
You know,
easier era.
Has he been top 3, Salah, in the Ballon d'Or?
I'm sure he's been top 3. Yeah.
I think he
I
was
don't think
robbed
he has
of a top 3 at
he
one
has
point.
to have been top
But
3. If he hasn't, then what's the argument about?
He's not better than
You think
Henry.
about,
He's not better than
I'm sick of all
Ronaldo.
these
He's not
guys.
better than Rooney.
I'm
We need
sick
to
of all
stop
these
being
guys
stupid. man.
hung up on Salah, man. I'm sick of
It's
it.
all this recency bias as well. And then Liverpool fans will go, well, Cristiano Ronaldo was playing with Paul Scholes and that. But hold on a minute. 2 years ago, you told us Virgil van Dijk was the best centre-back the Premier League's ever been. Alisson's the best goalkeeper. Trent was the best right-back. Robertson was the best left-back we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, if all those are the
Yeah.
best players we've ever seen, then why the hell hasn't Salah won anymore?
There is certainly a vogue. He is in vogue at the moment.
I've already said that.
Did you?
You missed that. You got to listen, man. Jesus.
Yeah.
Gov, thank you very much for your time, mate. I really appreciate it. Call back
And
soon.
Gov, don't ever let
Yes.
anyone make you justify your love for Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Never. No
Never.
one could ever. But lads, I appreciate you guys having me on. And guys,
Love you,
keep
Gov.
smashing what you guys are doing. I love watching your content, everything. Keep it
Thank
up,
you very
lads.
much, Gov.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much,
Cool.
Gov. That's really kind of you.
The
Interesting debate there. Interesting debate there.
Can you
Boozy.
read that out, Royce?
I can. Just so that everybody knows. Mohamed Salah, the highest he's ever finished in the Ballon d'Or, is 5th.
I know right backs who have finished 3rd and 4th, so don't chat to me, man.
I do think
Jorginho
Jackson.
finished 3rd.
Yeah,
I do think
Carvajal.
whilst I'm doing the same now, it's because we're comparing him to a great. I do think Salah has been unfortunate and maybe a little bit hard done by sometimes in how he's been rated like amongst the world's best players. But he's nowhere near Cristiano Ronaldo. Let's stop it.
That
And
is-
people kind of go, oh, Ronaldo's peak was after United. So?
He was so good, he had 2
Yeah.
peaks.
Yeah,
Like, that's the fact. We've got Joel, Man United fan. How are you, mate?
Oh, how's it going, boys?
Yes,
how are
Joe,
you?
what's happening?
Yeah, good. Bit tired from Australia, but
What time is it
we're
there?
here. 5 a.m. on the dot.
Oh,
Have you
jeez.
woken up to talk to Buvey?
Unfortunately, yes.
Wow,
Hey,
that's
don't say
commitment.
unfortunately. go back to bed. No problem with me. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, all right.
Who do you support, Joel?
Manchester United.
Go on, Joe.
Joel, right. And what's on your mind?
I actually wanted to talk about a player that you might like, Rory, N'Golo Kante.
Yeah, I mean, I
Um,
do like.
I think all of us do, innit?
I do like. You are correct.
Kind of just wanted to say that I know you boys love your old-time Premier League 11s and such, and I was wondering kind of where he would fit in that conversation, because I know like Bergkamp and Cantona and all that get mentioned and sometimes don't make it in, but Kante had that similar effect of a Cantona,
Mm.
winning with Leicester, then moving it on to Chelsea as well. So
Mm.
does he get a valid mention?
I don't think it's an extreme position to take up at all, Joel. The N'Golo Kante should be in an all-time Premier League 11. There is, when I do my all-time Chelsea 11, I
Is he in?
generally put him in. The one I
Because you got Essien, Makaleli, Lampard,
Dennis Wise.
Dennis Wise, Deco.
No, Deco doesn't get a mention. I think if you did a 3, it's obviously Lampard, Makaleli or Kante and Wise for me. But that's the contribution to Chelsea. If you did a Premier League 11, there is certainly justification for saying N'Golo Kante is in it.
I think so.
The standard and level that N'Golo Kante played at, the contribution that he had to the teams that he played in, the reception that he's been given by players. You listen to players talk about playing with him and how much easier he made life for them.
Yeah.
The only arguments against him being in it, maybe longevity. You know, if you actually did it, you go, Gerrard did it for this long. You go, Paul Scholes did it for this long and won this. You go, Frank Lampard did it for this long and did that. I can see why some may prefer a De Bruyne, a type midfielder, to a Kante type midfielder.
Busquets gets into it. For me, Kante gets an all-time 11 in the history of football. For me, I think he's that good.
Wait,
I think
what?
he's
You
that good.
literally put Kante in
If you had to put a defensive-minded midfielder, I think he's better than Makelele. Look, people put Busquets in. That's why I brought in Busquets. They'll bring in
Hold on,
Xavi.
mate,
They'll
'cause
bring in
we
Zidane. If you had to put a DM,
all-time.
We
you
did
had
a
to put
Premier League La Liga 11 earlier, and you didn't put Kante in.
because Busquets is a different kind of midfielder. You can't have Busquets, Kante, Xavi, Zidane.
No, but I'm just saying.
Busquets.
So
I'm
we
saying
did
as
two
a
leagues, and you said he's not in. But now all of
You went, he'd be in my world ever 11.
In a 4-3.
But half hour ago, he weren't in my.
If you had to have a defensive midfielder, he's the best defensive midfielder in the history of football.
But
He
you
is.
But
He
you
is.
said that
He's
you
a
made that
fact.
case for Busquets.
Because I prefer Busquets is the best defensive deep line playmaker. They're completely different roles. They're completely different roles.
But
you
know,
have Busquets in there. Zidane's better than Kante. They're different midfielders.
if you rate Kante this highly,
yeah.
which
Because
I mean,
I'm not Sam Allardyce. I'm not trying to park the bus. All right? I'm not trying to have a defensive view of football. But Kante is a defensive midfielder. Is the best in the history of football. He is. Give me someone better than Kante.
No, he might well be.
No,
I
but
just find it funny that he didn't make your team.
No, because Busquets is.
Hour ago.
Yeah, but Busquets
He
is a
didn't even
different kind
mention
of.
him.
Busquets would start for different managers. That's the point. It's a stylistic thing that you guys can't grasp for whatever reason. Okay.
The reason we're laughing, Joel, sorry, is half an hour ago we did like Buvey just said that N'Golo Kante makes his all-time footballing world 11, and half an hour ago he didn't make his Premier League.
No, that's not the debate. If you had to put a defensive
So
midfielder into an all-time, then Kante gets in. Of course he is. Am I wrong?
Jack, help us out here.
This is a bit mad.
Has
This
he
is
not
very.
mental?
Mate,
It's like if you do 4-4-2 or 4-3-3, you have two strikers or one striker. That's what it's the same thing. If you do a Premier League 11 with 4-4-2, you have two strikers or one
We're
striker.
going to do Premier League and La Liga combined 11. N'Golo Kante not mentioned one.
Busquets is a better midfielder of his kind than Kante. Kante is a better midfielder of his kind than Busquets. It's however you play it. So why do we talk about right wing backs? We're not playing a back five. There are different positions for different formations. You guys are dicks, man. Joel, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. Funny you mentioned the 4-4-2
He doesn't
versus
understand what you're
4-4-3.
saying.
So if I'm doing, listen now, because you guys are chatting shit. If you do 4-4-2, you got two wingers, so David Beckham doesn't get in, for example, for 4-3-3. Am I wrong?
That was actually going to be one of my points. The
Exactly, that was
4-4-2
one of
era,
Joel's
I don't
points.
think He gets in 4-4-3.
You guys are
4-3-3. He gets in.
Honestly, two brain cells between them. Two brain cells. Seriously, one each. One each. Seriously, Joel. Seriously.
I reckon. I also think if Chelsea don't
You're
sign,
chatting. No, but you're
Kante
wrong.
in
You know you're both
2016.
wrong as well.
We're not.
You are.
We're not.
If you do a combined 11 with two strikers or one, then you miss out, don't you, on a certain player in different positions. If you said to me, I'm doing a Spanish-English league, but it has to be a defensive midfielder, Kante gets in. Of course he does. But we said 4-3-3 in the video. So in a 4-3-3, Busquets is better than a 4-3-3.
But you don't have a defensive midfielder in a
Kante
4-4-2.
was in a 4-4-2. You guys are chatting shit, man. You don't even understand the difference between Busquets and Kante. You think they're all the same. Then you think Paul Scholes is better than Xavi. All this craziness. So what am I meant to do? What am I meant to do?
Joe, I'm so sorry. If you want to talk, then keep talking, man. I'm finished.
no, it's always lovely to hear Booby's head go on.
Joe, honestly, half an hour ago,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I was there. Yeah.
Half hour ago, we did a video where we did our best midfielders of the Premier League and La Liga combined. And Buvey put his forward and didn't mention N'Golo Kante once. Sorry, you've just brought him up. And Buvey went, he would be my all-time world football 11 ever.
With the caveat that if you had to have a defensive-minded midfielder, not a ball-playing midfielder like Busquets, Kante is of the level of Busquets for his own position in midfield. That's a fair thing to say. It is like the Makelele role. Kante is better than Makelele in the Makelele role. He is. It's like saying number 10, who's the best number 10 in the world? Who's the best right-sided forward in the world? The right winger in the world? Because you don't understand. You don't understand. I love it. You don't understand football. 80 years of football between both of you. You don't understand the sport. Seriously. No, seriously.
That's my favourite ever movie.
I like it when he just arguing. Then we just keep arguing.
getting through.
At one point, I looked over and he's going, Beckham in a pivot. I don't know what you're... Beckham in a pivot.
Hey, Joe. Thank you so much.
Kante
for your
gets
question,
in.
man.
No worries, boys.
Joel
no
agrees.
worries, boys.
Joel
Is there
agrees.
anything else you want to add? Sorry, Joel.
You know what I mean as well. You know what I mean.
Beckham in a pivot.
You know what I mean.
I was going to say, just for an example of how good he actually is, I think if United signed him instead of Chelsea in 2016, we'd have a midfield of Pogba, Herrera, Kante, and we're probably the ones winning it.
No, not
sooner
United.
rather than
Not
later.
United.
We gave them
years.
money for Matic to get Kante, which was depressing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Not
God.
United.
We'd have Kante instead of Morgan Schneiderlin.
Well, you didn't. You got Schneidling. You not won anything in 15 years. So
Now
you
he's
didn't.
taking it out on you,
You
Joel.
didn't, Joel.
Joel.
Did you?
Joe, he's getting angry at you.
Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Joel never did know.
Yeah. Go
Joel
on, then,
never
mate.
did
What are you
nothing.
starting on Joel for? What's he done?
He started this. Yeah.
Joel, thank you
Oh,
so
for
much.
fuck's sake!
Joel.
Now I've got to deal with
Wait,
this.
Beckham.
Now I've got to deal with this. Lads, I've got to deal with this.
Beckham in a pivot, you know?
No,
Beckham.
you guys are chatting shit as well.
Beckham. We got
Can
Beckham.
you expand your mind?
Joel.
Why don't you open your mind a little bit?
Thank you so much for
Seriously,
your
open your
call,
mind.
Joel. I love you,
Think
man.
freely.
Fuck, that was
Okay,
so funny.
was
you were
so-
laughing
Boo.
for 4 minutes.
Boo.
I can't believe
Boo,
it.
that was so
That
good.
was so
Yeah.
good, Buvey.
So good, dude.
Yeah. Beckham.
But do you know what I mean? Beckham doesn't get into a 4-3-3,
I
does
really
he?
don't know what you mean.
Beckham doesn't get into a 4-3-3. Beckham gets into a 4-4-2. If
But
you're
we
doing
did
it
a
all time,
4-3-3 earlier.
yeah. Bush gets in a 4-3-3. He's better than Kante. If you had to play Kante in a 4-4-2, he gets in
wait,
a
you play
Bush gets
Kante in a
in a
4-4-2?
So if you
2-2.
did a Premier League
Kante
11.
won the Premier League in a 4-4-2.
So if you did a Premier League 11.
Yeah, Premier League 11, we had to have a defensive midfielder, the best defensive midfielder in the history of football. It is Kante. But you put in Busquets for a stylistic reason. Honestly, you're on the wind up. And we got Callum now, Bournemouth fan. I
I
can't
don't remember
believe
the last time I laughed.
I
this
can't
hard, bro.
believe what this is.
Ooh, I think I broke a rib.
Honestly, we got Callum,
Hang on,
Bournemouth fan.
wait, hold Callum tight because we need 1
No,
second.
I'll
I'm
handle it.
alright.
I'll handle it.
Come on,
we've
I'll
got to get
handle
through
it.
Oh, you guys are gas merchants. Callum, how you doing, mate?
Callum, who's the most famous Callum in the world?
Most famous Callum.
I said Hudson Doyle Wilson.
Yeah, Callum Wilson. That's on the top of my mind.
Callum Best.
He's a Bournemouth fan though, so he's biased.
Callum Best? Is anyone more famous than Callum Best?
Callum
Also-
Turner. Ever heard of him?
Cal,
yeah,
famous
yeah,
actor.
yeah.
Cal, if Boovy's a bit snarky with you, he's just
Yeah,
He's just had
Boovy's
a
just
bad
had a
one.
bad half hour.
Yeah.
So if Boovy's in a bad mood here, Callum, it's because he's had a bad half hour, just to pre-warn you.
yeah. So
Well, that's fun.
How you doing, Cal? You good? Where you calling from?
It's got
I'm
to be
calling
Bournemouth.
from
It's got
from
to be.
London in Romford.
In Romford.
Oh,
Very
Romford.
West Ham.
Callum.
Very West Ham.
Yeah. What you want to discuss, Cal?
Why Ryan Critic isn't every midfield in the Premier League.
What? What are you talking about, Callum?
Are you sure?
Actually, is he in your world all-time
Are you,
11?
are you sure down deep inside?
Callum,
Yeah.
life's precious. We could talk about anything you want. We
Ryan
could talk about
Christie
anything you want,
gets
bro.
into every midfield in the league. Okay, I'm going to put a midfield forward and you tell me how Ryan Christie gets in the Arsenal midfield.
I can't lie. I need to see his face. I can't remember who he is.
I think
I'm thinking of Malcolm Christie.
No, Callum.
We could play Declan Rice at the number 6, Odegaard the number 10, and then Ryan Christie the number 8.
Or over Wanyeri.
Ranieri's more of a right winger, I'd say.
No. What about Partey?
He's miles better than Partey.
What? Thomas Partey.
Ryan Christie's better than Partey.
This is what Bournemouth, when I was a kid, were scraping at the bottom.
But
at
so
the
was
foot.
City when I was a kid. You can't say
when,
that too.
When you were a kid, City were in and out the First Division Premier League. Same with me when I was a kid. Bournemouth, when I was a kid, they were just about in the Vanarama League. They were one hair's
By the way,
width
Callum,
away
you don't
from
have
the
to accept this.
Vanarama
You can
League.
interrupt him
And they've had a
anytime.
couple of good games. Right? Couple of good games. Suddenly, Ryan Christie's better than Partey. Have a day off,
They
man.
don't.
No,
Ryan
let
Christie
Callum
just
get
can't.
in.
Sorry, Callum, but
So Callum,
Callum get in.
is Ryan Christie genuinely, in your opinion, better than Thomas Partey?
Yes, and I've told this. All my mates have called me an absolute muppet, but I've,
I agree.
Your mates sound pretty learned.
no, they don't know what they're saying. I know what I'm saying. I can back. I can
Why?
back
Okay.
it up.
Why
I'll
do you
stand by it.
think? What would Ryan Christie bring to Manchester United that we haven't got? To Arsenal that they haven't got? To Chelsea? I mean, he bring a lot to Man United that we haven't got. But what would he bring to those top teams at the top end of the
Yeah,
league?
don't bring Man United into it. You're in the bottom. You're below Bournemouth.
He'd improve us definitely.
Yeah, you actually would.
What about the top
But
teams?
Arsenal,
Why
I
is
think
he?
he's by far the most underrated player in the Premier League. Like what he brings to Bournemouth, I don't think I've ever seen a midfielder be more confident on the ball and more skillful on the ball. I think he's the best player at Bournemouth.
fair enough.
Would you have said this before Iraola was there?
No,
Is he better than
I think
Semenyo?
Iraola-
Is he better than Semenyo?
I think Semenyo. I think if he didn't have his strength, he wouldn't be that good.
He's not better than Alex Scott in terms of technical ability.
What do you think Ryan Christie will stay at Bournemouth next season?
Yeah,
That's
100%.
because he's not. He doesn't get into every.
If he was as good as
midfield.
if he was as good as you were suggesting, would he not be being tapped up by maybe Man City, who could do with
Real Madrid.
replenishing? Yeah, think about teams though that are currently regenerating their midfield. I think Man City are quite a good example. Big club, big opportunity, big shoes to fill, loads of money to spend. If Ryan Christie was the player that you're suggesting he is, then presumably Pep Guardiola would be considering tapping him up.
I think, like I've said, Bournemouth over the years, for the last 10 years, we've had players that have gone under the radar so much. Lewis Cook is another one that goes under the radar.
So what's this got to do with him being the best player in the Premier League or the best midfield? What's Lewis Cook got to do with it? With all due respect. And also, you've not come back to me. I said Alex Scott. I heard silence. Deafening silence. I said Alex Scott.
Rory started speaking.
Okay. What's your opinion? Alex Scott has got better technical ability than Ryan Christie. I'm not wrong, am I?
No, you're not. But
Oh, there we go.
Alex Scott.
There we go.
Alex Scott does not bring to the team what Ryan Christie does.
Well, because he
I
works
think
harder.
What does Ryan Christie
Work-
bring to the
work-
team? I asked this question.
We've
I
been on
didn't
this
hear
phone
answer.
call for at least 4 minutes, and I have no idea.
Work rate.
Okay.
I think we've seen him control midfields against all the big teams. Man City, the start of the season, I'm sure you can remember that one.
Is
Arsenal-
Ryan Christie
Control
better than
midfield.
Scott McTominay? The reason I asked, they both play for Scotland.
Yeah, he's better than.
Yes.
Yeah, he's
He
better.
is.
You know when
I mean, I don't rate Scott McTominay,
Yeah.
but I don't think Ryan.
You know when
Christie's
someone
better
brings
than-
up the first quality of that, they made a big statement about one of their favourite players, and the first thing they say is not his passing, his shooting, big moments, work rate. That means he's a dead out player, mate.
Yeah,
It
Jordan
is-
Henderson.
Yeah. His work rate, his leadership, all these vague ideas. With all due respect, Ryan Christie.
I think as well, because
Come
you
on.
think Ryan Christie's underrated, which he very may be considering the reaction that you've just got here from us three, me included, you've gone too far the other way.
You really think that?
He's definitely on. He's been. By the way, he's been amazing this season. But you said he gets into every midfielder in the Premier
Also,
League.
how
Doesn't
much
start
of
for
it
Man
is
City.
Iraola?
Yeah, exactly.
Remember when
exactly.
Ancelotti went Everton and
Yeah,
fucking-
made Calvert-Lewin look like Alan Shearer.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
crazy. Ryan Christie's fantastic. I'm sure he'll probably smash Man City in the FA Cup next week because Bournemouth have been amazing. But he's not the best midfielder in the Premier League, is he? Or gets into every side. He does it.
It's a
Does he
good
start for Chelsea?
Callum, it's a good call. It's an interesting perspective. You just went a tiny bit too bold on it, but I rate it.
Yeah, you'll get
Yeah, I
tripped up.
appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You
You
got
I'm
a
a
call-
man that, despite my takes might be a little over the top according to a lot of people, but I'd always back it up. I always stand by it.
Yeah,
Mate,
good for
you
you,
might
man.
have a job in YouTube
Yeah.
going on like that. Listen, all right, let me play a quick game.
Right, the game is called Ryan Christie or.
Right, Ryan Christie or Thomas Partey? You already answered that one.
Christie.
Go on. Ryan Crispy or
Crispy.
Declan Rice? Crispy.
Declan Rice.
He's not better than Nico Gonzalez.
Is Ryan Christie, like, I'm not a huge fan of his, but is Ryan Christie genuinely better than Enzo Fernandez?
Yes, and I had this conversation with my mate, and I've completely believed that.
He's not even the best player at Bournemouth. He's not better than Semenyo. He's not better than Cliver. He's not better than Alex Scott. He's not better than your left back. He's been
Kirkus.
better than
He's
Salah.
better than Alex
Kirkus.
Scott.
He's not better than Alex Scott. Definitely not.
I think he's better than Alex
Definitely
Scott.
not.
And I've always said this.
Ryan
watch
Christie
him
was a
week in,
failed
week out.
winger in the SPL. Ryan Christie was a failed winger in the SPL. Alex Scott will be an England international at the highest level.
There we go. Callum, mate, thank you so much for your call.
We got Sandy next, Chelsea fan. How you doing, Sandy?
How's it going, gents?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm fine. So basically, my topic is every top European side. Well, I don't really consider Arsenal a top European side, but yeah, them too. I'm excluding them actually. Has declined in quality over the past decade. What do you guys think?
When do you say this? Do you mean the teams that are now at the top of European football aren't as good as they were, or the traditionally big European teams like Manchester United, for example, Chelsea, for example?
The traditionally big European sides.
Of course they are.
Because you can check like Bayern Munich, like as much as they'd still be doing well domestically in terms of quality, if you'd pick player for player, all of those sides have just dropped in quality. Like I don't think Joshua Kimmich now is the same Joshua Kimmich that he used to be back in the day. I don't think Chelsea have the Lampards, the Hazards, etc. Man United.
Nah,
used to have players
Sandy
like-
Olsen here is completely and utterly correct. You know that. Like there is no doubt in my mind. That
Well, yeah, the big
there isn't
teams.
one. I'll give you a task. You two, right? Sandy, so you can play along, right? Although you'll be defeating your own argument if you think of a team. Buvey, Adam,
Okay.
your challenge in the next 30 seconds is to think of a team, top team, the side today that would beat the side 15 years ago. So the Man United team of today
I think
faces the Man
only
United side of a decade ago.
Liverpool was the one that sprung to
Liverpool,
mind.
Real Madrid for me. Real Madrid. If we're talking,
Not really Liverpool. I don't. Okay, wait, no, yeah, definitely.
no, 15 years ago,
definitely,
Liverpool had,
actually.
Sammy Hippier and stuff like that. It's a much better side now.
15 years ago was 2010.
So what we're talking about, 2010 and all that.
They nearly won the league that
Andy
year, didn't
Carroll
they? They
front.
really came
No, it
close
was
to winning the league that
2013,
year.
14.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on about
No, they
the
did.
Mascherano
Torres,
one.
Yeah,
Gerrard.
mate. They,
Sorry,
were,
yeah,
they
yeah,
came
yeah,
with
yeah.
with
Oh,
Real
Real
Madrid
Madrid,
right now,
yeah.
I think, would
That's-
beat Real
isn't-
Madrid.
Isn't that the team? Isn't it 2010?
Yeah.
08, 09, I think.
No, Benitez was 08, 09.
09
Yeah.
was the team that it was. 010 must be similar.
I think we also forget though that a decade ago now was 2015.
Okay, let's go longer. You're right. Let's go
Yeah.
longer. There is no team today, Arsenal aside maybe, there is no team today that has a better team that would beat its own team 20 years
Yeah.
ago.
Real Madrid.
Don't.
20 years ago, they weren't winning the Champions League.
Can you remind me of that team? Just give me some players. Just help me out.
Wasn't Raul in there?
Yeah, you got Raul, obviously a legend.
Well,
Legendary
Isn't that
player.
the
years ago,
Galactico?
They signed
No,
Ronaldo
yeah,
and
but
they
you're
had
talking-
Ronaldo, Raul, Kaká in
Yeah.
09. That
Yo,
was.
they were definitely better this side now.
Yeah,
like this
Guti
side is
and
pretty decent,
Casillas.
but
Like, if
it's
you think
nowhere
about-
near that level.
Mate, if you use some examples, Man City, Chelsea, Man United, let's use our examples. Every single one of our teams today gets beat 10-0 by our team 20 years ago.
Not
But
Man
City,
No, yours is the
last year
opposite.
we wouldn't have
Oh,
said
yeah,
that
yeah.
about City.
No.
Yeah, so it's not City. I think Manchester United and Chelsea are.
Yeah, your
are.
team of 15,
I think
20 years ago.
Barcelona are worse, even though they're a very good team. Because
So
around that time
Chelsea,
they had Messi.
Chelsea worse, Man United worse, Barcelona worse,
Bayern Munich are worse.
Bayern Munich worse, Arsenal potentially better.
potentially.
Arsenal
I
I
still-
think Arsenal is the only side.
No, not
Genuinely.
the only side.
It's an
The Italian
interesting-
sides,
Liverpool better.
I think,
Liverpool
have all
better.
gradually got
Aren't they?
worse.
Liverpool better. 2010 Liverpool.
Can't be better.
Yeah, they are.
Didn't Liverpool have Xabi
They
Alonso
got a
in
better,
them
they got a
back
better
then?
keeper, better centre back. They got Salah. They got.
I think the Liverpool team. I know Liverpool going to win the league this year, and they didn't win the team. They didn't win the league in the era that we're talking about. But I think that the team of Mascherano, the midfield of
Alonso.
Mascherano, Alonso, Gerrard, Torres up front, Carragher at the and Pepe Reina in goal. I think that team.
Trent. I mean, it'd be very close. Trent, Van Dijk, Robertson's a better left back than what they had at left back.
What was
Do you know what I
the
mean?
I think that team would win the league
so
now.
you've got Dirk Kuyt. What was the whole team? It was
was Alba Riera there?
Yeah,
You had Steve
Riera.
Finnan,
Steve,
Who's the
David
John
Italian-
Arnorisa,
the Italian
John
left back.
Arnorisa.
Oh yeah,
John
yeah.
Arnorisa at left back. The midfield,
was Angola there.
they also had that Mohamed Sissoko, who was wicked as a midfielder.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mohamed Sissoko, Steven Gerrard, Javier
Gerrard played just
Mascherano.
off
Crouch.
Torres, didn't he?
Gerrard
up
played
front.
just off Torres up front that season. Just to be,
Jermaine Pennant.
this
was
is
in
quite
there.
interesting, right? Does that Liverpool team beat the Liverpool team of today? And therefore, is that proof that the whole league has suppressed?
Maybe it does. Yeah.
That midfield is way
Yes.
better than the midfield today.
Who's a better manager, Arne Slot or Rafa?
At
You
the
have to give it to
moment-
Rafa
At the
now.
moment, you have to go Benitez, Valencia, even a record at Chelsea. Like,
Maybe-
I don't like him, but
Maybe Sandy's spot on.
He won 2 leagues with Valencia as well.
Yeah.
Was it 2? It was 2.
got into the semi-finals European Cup. Think
Rafa-
about where Valencia have gone since.
Won Chelsea some silverware.
Obviously,
all right,
Arne
mate.
Slot's still got a while to go.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
I think it's a good point. I think the only clubs that's improved, Arsenal, Man City, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, Man City.
Tottenham.
Well, Man City's improvement isn't quite it's not kind of
The
organic. with
Italian
football, though.
sides have completely got Ruben
Yeah,
Loftus-Cheek
they're
and
obliterated. Yeah.
Pulisic up front.
And would you consider Man City a top European side back
No,
then?
I wouldn't. Not in a
Not then,
historical
You do now,
context.
though. You have to now. They've
Yeah,
won
but
the-
not in a historical.
Yeah,
not
now.
in 2008.
We have to now just because of
course
their
not.
success in Istanbul. It's interesting.
Yeah,
Sandy.
oh,
I
yeah,
think this
Benjani
does
and that,
prove.
Yeah, did the double over you lot.
Sandy, you're correct. I think your theory is
Yeah,
correct.
I think
Every
this does-
European team has declined in the last decade and a bit.
Yeah, so I think this does prove my other chat generally that I speak with my friends about how the quality of the Premier League has dropped drastically. Like, it's fine now that Bournemouth and Newcastle and them are doing pretty well and stuff, but that's only, I basically just think that they've taken a step up, yes, but the main reason is because you don't have your Man Uniteds, your Chelseas, the real Arsenal from back then that used to dominate the league. Like, it would be much more impressive if this Bournemouth or this Newcastle side would break into the top 4 back then, considered to now. Like, now we have such a weak Chelsea, we have such a weak Man United, Tottenham as well, I would put in there. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
it's
well,
a
do you know
terrible
what? Do you
season.
know what, Sandy Olsen? We have to thank our lucky stars that we were around to see it back then, don't we?
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you so much
It's
for
pretty
getting in
sad to see
touch.
what's happened.
Thank you so much
It's-
for
Thank
getting in
you.
touch.
It's an interesting one though on that because it's kind of it fits into the conversation Kai was having, wasn't it? Where he goes, "Are the mid-table teams better, but the top teams worse?" And like we are very Big Six centric here because obviously we support 3 of them. But like, is it a better product with some of the other teams being bigger, even if it means
it's a worse product.
traditionally, like the Manchester United and stuff aren't
It's like
doing
when,
as well.
when Rangers got relegated, the SPL was a worse product. Even if you're the most diehard Celtic fan, Rangers have to be in the SPL. Man United being 15th or whatever is funny for a City fan or for any other fan. But you want Man United competing versus a Man City versus Arsenal.
Do you know
versus-
what as well, Boo? Do you know when I really thought about this? You know, there is now a genuine prospect that Brighton will be in the Champions League. Like, it could happen. Do you know how poorly that reflects the Premier League? Do you know, just in terms of like, imagine if it's AC Milan, Real Madrid fans going to the Amex
I know-
as a representation of
What do you
British
feel about
English
Forest?
football.
I know Forest have
Now,
won
Forest
it.
got a good stadium, loud support. Forest will take 15,000 fans away their first game. They'll be like Villa. Brighton, every season to get older, Brighton's a Liverpool fan, really.
I think you say fair play
did
for
you
a
call them
one-off
before?
season.
Insignificant. They
No.
got upset. Both of their fans
2
got
Bob
upset.
Brighton.
2 Bob. Yeah, 2 Bob. And I was right. And now they're potentially going to be in Europe, blighting
It's
the
not a
English
damn
name.
indictment if it's one season out of nowhere. Like when
I just-
Fulham got to
Mate,
the
just
Europa
imagine,
League final. and-
imagine this though. Think of Ajax fans.
No, I
Think
know, I know.
about some of the biggest clubs. Inter Milan
I know.
fans.
But AC Milan went to Fratton Park. You know,
Inter-
it happens every now
Inter
and then.
Milan fans arriving in England, the home of football, to follow. They'll take 3,500 fans to poxy the Amex Brighton when that could be Man United.
You're slagging it off, man. It's got good fish and chips, man. It does. It's on the coast.
Yeah,
Fresh.
I don't disagree.
Caught
I don't
fresh.
disagree with that.
Caught fresh.
Let's go to Johan Cruyff. How are you, sir?
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing very, very well. Good to hear you again. I was on the show about a month ago.
Welcome
I
back.
remember. How are you?
I'm very good.
Have Manchester
Very,
United
very
won
good.
any games since we last spoke to you?
Whoa.
Yeah, we beat the mighty Leicester City.
No,
Yeah.
fair play. Fair
Yeah,
play.
we-
Yeah,
we were on a little bit of a run, Real Sociedad got beat.
mate, you beat Ruud van Nistelrooy's Leicester City.
Adam, if you call that a run,
I mean,
I don't
what
know.
else could we call it right now? Like, we have to take what we can get. Come on, we're going to win the Europa
Yeah,
League.
yeah,
Don't
yeah.
worry, man.
God.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
What,
yeah.
what do you want to discuss today, Johan?
Yeah, I want to discuss something about a team we all hate,
Yeah.
Arsenal.
Oh, yes.
And I want to speak to you about the signing of Declan Rice.
Okay.
Because he's a very good player. I'm not denying that. But to me, he's a class number 6, a defensive midfielder.
Mhm.
Maybe not worth 100 million, but he's still a very, very good. To win the Premier League, he's a good enough 6, in my opinion. But Arteta is using him more as an 8, to me, in the recent times.
Mm.
Doing the up and down runs, making this kind of Ilkay Gundogan second man runs into the box to meet the crosses. And that's just not his game at all. Maybe it's because Havertz, to me, I think Havertz was supposed to be the replacement of Granit Xhaka.
Mm.
And that was Granit Xhaka, and Havertz has not been performing in that position. So I think Declan Rice was an emergency solution to play as an 8, but he is now. And I think there are details like this that is difference to win a Premier League title and not, because Declan Rice is not good enough in that position, and Havertz isn't, and it was 170 million or however those two players cost.
Yeah.
And all of us have seen our team win a league title and more. And the details we all speak when we speak about, obviously me and Adam with Fergie and Pep for you, Buvey, and the Mourinhos, the Ancelottis, the Contes for you, Rory. These managers have every detail down to the every inch of the game. And details like this, Arteta, it is his first job in management. So we need to have that in mind.
Yeah,
but
I think
oh,
like here
it is-
though, here though, you're kind of look. I don't think Declan Rice is worth 100 million pound, but I do think he's a phenomenal player who would improve any of our teams.
agree,
Kind of
I
sat
agree,
around his
I
table.
agree,
He
I
improves Man United, he improves Chelsea, he improves City. But I think kind of the point you're making, whilst I agree with it, I think Declan Rice has kind of been shoehorned further forward because they've got Thomas Partey. They've kind of got someone that can play that 6, and now because the Kai Havertz thing hasn't worked, they've had to push Declan Rice forward. But we seem to be focusing on the Declan Rice part of this rather than the Kai Havertz thing. And I think that it's probably Kai Havertz, which is the signing that needs to be more questioned. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if we're focusing strictly on the Declan Rice signing, if Johan's point here is Declan Rice, maybe we need to question that signing, then I'm crazy for you, Johan. Like, I want to make this work. I want to be on your side, but I just can't be. I just feel like Declan Rice has been one of the best signings that Arsenal have made of late. I think it's one of the best signings that I've seen in the Premier League, in the Premier League of recent times. I think he's one of the best players in the Premier League. And ultimately, I could write 100 problems. I could write a list of 100 problems at Arsenal, and I still wouldn't have got to Declan Rice. I think he's actually one of the shining stars of the club. I don't see him as a problem at all. I think he's excellent in every aspect of his game.
To that, Rory, I agree. I agree to 100%. He's a fantastic player and very much good enough to play in a title-winning side. But in my opinion, as a 6, I think if you brought him in, I think Thomas Partey needs to have been benched or leave the club. To me,
Yeah,
Johan,
Partey can do something Rice can't. I mean,
Johan, is it not fair to say that Declan Rice, playing as an 8, Arsenal's best midfield, when Arsenal win games, it goes Partey as a 6 with Martin Odegaard and Declan Rice in front of him. That is one of the best midfields in the league. That is a midfield that is totally capable of winning the Premier League. Declan Rice is working efficiently as both a 6 or an 8.
I think here's where we disagree. I think that Arsenal had more fluidity in the midfield when they had a more 8, like a box-to-box. Granit Xhaka, he was amazing in his last season for Arsenal. And they were so fluid in the midfield. It's 2 seasons ago. I don't know if you have it fresh in mind, but
No,
they
of
were
course, yeah.
so fluid in the midfield. I think now they are kind of stale, and I don't think the detail of why Arsenal are not winning a Premier League is not because Declan Rice is playing as an 8 instead of a 6. I think it's just an example of why the details. Because to me, Declan Rice should be playing for Arsenal as the 6, and they should have gone for
he's not
another
a 6 though,
8.
is he? He's not a 6. He's not Rodri. At the highest level,
He's
let's
not
talk about
Rodri, they are
Rodri.
different players.
He's
They are
not
different
Chouameni.
players.
He's not. His distribution from a deep part of midfield isn't good enough. We saw it for England. He's a limited midfielder in terms of. I'm talking about controlling a game of football, like Michael Carrick maybe for Man United back in the day. Even someone like maybe Michael Essien used to be able to do that for Chelsea. He can't do that. He's very athletic, very box to box, very sideways. He actually, for me, is a double. He's a 6 and a double pivot.
Johan, why is he not
Yeah,
an 8?
I agree.
The only reason why I'd say,
as well.
Johan, why do you think? What attributes does Declan Rice not have to be an excellent standout number 8 for Arsenal for the next decade?
I think he lacks the precision of passes in the final third, and I don't really see his technical ability to lock up the tight defenses. Because when you see them play very solid defenders, I have the game against Inter Milan in the Champions League in my mind. They were just resorting to crossing, and I think we need to speak the more. The weirdest thing for me is how he's using Gabriel Martinelli, because 2 years ago he was firing. He was playing on an inside forward. Now he's almost licking the touchline, just searching for crosses. And I don't really. Why are you playing him like that? He's not that type of a player. I don't really get it.
You want David Silva in that position, don't you? You want David Silva, Phil
Yeah,
Foden last
yeah.
season, example. You want De Bruyne,
Yeah, on a
Foden,
half
and
turn, on a half
Fernandinho.
turn, scoring
You don't
20
want
goals a season.
Rice, Partey with Odegaard, who's had a really poor season, in my opinion, for his level.
By his standards,
they're
yeah.
not very creative at all. I think the future midfield has to be Nwaneri and Odegaard with a defensive midfielder.
Do you know what, Johan? I think there's a lot of truth in what you've said. I think you've made a brilliant point, and I guess
I just want to
get-
say
go on.
to just interrupt the thing Buvey said about the double pivot. That's where I think Declan Rice should be, with a double pivot midfield.
well, like Calvin
uh,
Phillips in England in 2021.
But you can't win a league like that, in my opinion. Not the highest level. Not the highest level.
That's the point. I think for me, Declan Rice is amazing at breaking up play. He's so good at running. You have so much reliance on him. You can expose yourself more offensively, which Arsenal don't do at the moment. They're Buvey always calls them scared, like they're scared of their opponents,
Scared stiff,
to play. Yeah, they're stiff. And to me, they don't really make that push offensively. And I think Declan Rice needs to take a step down and have a more creative 8.
You need to start scoring goals for £100 million. You don't score no goals.
We're now going to dive into the voice note section of the episode, and remember to get your voice notes into us if you ever want us to react to them. So here is the first one up now.
Hey boys, Chris here.
Girls.
Big fan of the show, coming all the way from America. I had a question I wanted your guys' opinion on. Who of the superstars in the Premier League do you think is carried or hindered by the system that their club or coach use? For example,
Phil Foden,
if you
Man
took
City.
Mohamed Salah off of Liverpool and put him on another top 6 team, do you think he would thrive or even be considered the superstar that he is today?
It's a great call
It's an
and an even
unbelievable
better
question.
accent. It's a great question. I mean, I can start the ball rolling here.
Go on.
I think Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, nullified
I think
by
Jack
Pep
Grealish
Guardiola.
is the one.
Nullified by Pep Guardiola.
Probably the biggest name, best player that you think.
I'm not
is-
sure if Salah, though, because of, he's done it for different managers now.
Stick him at Man United over
Yeah.
the last 5 years.
He would have
Yeah.
transformed you lot. yeah.
Shrivels like a
What, Salah?
yeah, he shrivels.
I don't know.
I
about
think we've
that.
seen big players at Manchester United not.
Yeah, it's not a great environment, but
But no, Jack Grealish. In terms of looking at it, let's try and answer this voice note in both directions. So if we're saying the example of a player that has been nullified, had his wings clipped by his manager, the answer is Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
What player has flourished through system? What player has got a career and got a reputation almost because the manager is so clever in working with them?
One that immediately sprang to mind for me was Jordan Henderson of the Jurgen Klopp.
It's a good
I just-
example. It's not a current one.
I know
but
it's not
it's a very
current,
good
but I just
example.
thought
No, it's a
the
very good
whole
example.
system kind of benefited him and
Yeah,
what
and
was
it
going on.
played to his strengths.
Yeah.
It played to his strengths. I think
it's
that's
a great
very true.
question.
Your example of Henderson is accurate because Jordan Henderson was a fairly limited midfielder who had an elite level career because of system and brilliance of management and utilising him to the best of his ability. Jack Grealish is the example
Cole
of a
Palmer.
player.
I agree. Yeah.
Cole Palmer's certainly had his wings clipped this season.
I think you compare Cole Palmer last season to this season, whilst he's still a fruitful player in terms of goal contributions and stuff like that. I think he is a complete, and it was kind of the point you were making the other day. I can't remember what show we were chatting.
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
Might
yeah,
have been
yeah.
this or overlap, but you were saying the same thing where you think Maresca's system kind of
yeah.
hamstrings him.
Enzo Maresca explicitly told us that he gets annoyed and will sub a player if a player doesn't do what he's supposed to do. When Enzo Fernandez laid it back to the keeper or laid it back to the centre half, the crowd jeered and Maresca went, no, that's what he's supposed to do. If he didn't do that, I'd sub him. And you're like, hang on a minute. Cole Palmer is the kind of player that plays off the cuff. He's the kind of player that plays instinctively. You're telling us that if a player plays instinctively and plays off the cuff, you'll sub them. Of course, Cole Palmer's form has suffered. Anyone else? Anyone else at City, Buvey? Is there another Jack Grealish? Like, I
That's flourished
suggested
because
Foden.
of working for
Yeah,
Guardiola.
what about that way round? I
think
would have said
Chris Wood at
someone
the
like
moment.
Cancelo.
Chris Wood's thriving at
Chris
Nottingham
Wood under
Forest.
Nuno
Chris Wood's a
Espirito
great-
Santo. In
great
fact,
shout.
almost any of that Forest team.
But I do
Yeah.
think like Callum Hudson-Odoi is a talented player. Elanga is a talented.
Yeah. They've worked a system.
Chris
out.
Wood's a very good, a good striker.
Yeah.
Who's currently performing at a phenomenal rate, and I think the system really helps.
Yeah,
that.
that's a great example.
Edison's a great shout.
That is
Maybe Edison doesn't get into most sites, but Guardiola loves him for his philosophy.
Yeah.
Edison maybe.
Yeah. Obviously, under Ancelotti, do you remember when Dominic Calvert-Lewin was getting England caps and that?
Jesus.
He was like playing for England, scoring for England.
Yeah, he was amazing for about 6 weeks.
Yeah, and it was all because of Ancelotti.
They went
wasn't
top
it?
of the league then as well, didn't they?
Yeah,
Everton
yeah,
for a
yeah.
bit.
Them and
Rodriguez
Spurs.
and that. Let's move. There's an interesting one. Let's move on to the next voice note.
Hi, my name's Hanif. I'm an Arsenal fan. Big fan of the show, lads. Gonna make it quick. Miles Lewis Skelly will become the greatest Premier League left back in the next couple of years. So I think he'll stay as I think he's the next big left back in the Premier League. He's gonna stay the best for a long time.
Oh my
Thoughts?
god. Look, I think
I
Miles
can't-
Lewis Skelly
I
is a
can't-
massive talent,
I
but
can't
you're an
do it.
Arsenal fan and you should know the answer to this question.
I can't do it.
No, Skelly's so good at such a young age, he'll think he's a midfielder.
He's not a left
Ashley
back.
Cole loved defending.
Ashley Cole.
He loved being a
Mm.
left back. Do you know what I mean?
We didn't even have to say his name.
I can't.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we did have
I
to say his
don't.
name.
I can't do it. I can't do it. Why do people do this?
So early.
It's because
He's
Arsenal have
18
been
years old.
so
He's played-
starved for
He's
success.
played what? How many? 20 games? 20 first team games?
One England goal against Albania.
I can't do it.
He's incredible talent, but let's relax here.
Yeah.
Let's relax.
Best ever.
He'll think he's a midfielder as well. That's his issue. Ashley Cole never thought he was anything other than a top level left back.
Yeah. I think that's true. I've loved this. It's
Yeah.
actually
Yeah,
my
it's been
favourite.
fantastic.
So I've had a
loved you
fantastic
today,
day.
Booth.
Yeah.
You've been brilliant all day long.
I've managed to educate both of you about the difference between Kante and
so good.
Busquets. It's
Yes,
fantastic.
I can't wait to watch that back.
It's class.
Thank you to everybody for being a part of it, and mostly thank you to Buvey for being
It's been a
brilliant.
pleasure, Ross.
Make sure that you check out the link in the description below. A huge thank you to Sky Bet. The Discord link is in the description below. If you want to get involved, just simply click that, get in touch, and we could be speaking to you next week. And you could have the pleasure of twisting Buvey up in knots. Thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon. Ta-da.